The heat was already unbearable that morning, even for Florida. I was in the middle of setting up my gear, laptop, case notes, secure call connection, outside on my porch. Normally, I'd be in my home office, but my wife's sister was visiting and had turned it into her makeshift yoga studio for the week. I didn't argue. I'm a criminal investigator with the state's legal division. Arguing is a daily habit I save for work. I was preparing to brief the state attorney on an ongoing corruption case involving misused public funds. A big deal. The kind that gets people fired, indicted, or both. Just as I started the call, I heard something unusual. The deep rumble of my Harley's engine. The Harley-Davidson Fatboy is my pride. Matte black, low mileage, custom exhaust. It was supposed to be parked. My heart sank. I stood up, looked over the porch rail, and there he was. Some kid, maybe 16 or 17, skinny, shaggy hair, wearing a tank top and basketball shorts, somehow trying to rev the engine like he owned it. I jogged down the steps, muted my call, and yelled, "Hey, that's mine." The kid didn't even flinch. He looked at me and said, dead serious, "My mom said I could ride it." I stopped in my tracks. What? Who the hell is your mom? That's when I saw her. Karen. Her real name was probably Brenda or Marcia or something, but everyone in the neighborhood knew her as Karen. Short blonde bob, oversized sunglasses, and a permanent expression like someone just farted in her smoothie. She marched across the sidewalk like she was inspecting her own private country. "Don't yell at my son," she snapped. "He deserves that motorcycle more than you." I blinked. "Excuse me? I've seen the way you park it. You're always hogging the curb, leaving oil spots. I've already reported you to the HOA. I couldn't believe it. "Lady, that bike's been parked in the same exact spot behind my line every day, and no one told your kid he could touch it." "I did," she shouted. "He's learning how to ride. You're a public employee. You should share." Share. I was still stunned when I heard sirens. No. Sure enough, Karen pulled out her phone and smirked. "I told them you threatened my son." I couldn't even process it. I was briefing the state attorney. I was being accused of threatening a teenager because of a motorcycle. This was only the beginning. The two squad cars pulled up fast, lights flashing, doors flung open. This wasn't some casual neighborhood check-in. No, Karen must have told them I was brandishing a weapon or something equally absurd. I stood perfectly still, hands visible, one hand still holding my muted phone where the state attorney was probably wondering if I'd fallen off the grid. One of the officers approached, hand near his holster. "Sir, step away from the motorcycle." I did as told, raising my free hand slightly. "No problem, officer. Just let me put my phone down." Karen, who had sauntered to the edge of the sidewalk with her arms crossed like she was the queen of some dystopian HOA court, shouted from behind him, "That's him. He screamed at my son. He threatened him over a motorcycle." I gave the officer a look. My motorcycle. That kid was sitting on it, trying to start it. The younger officer turned to the kid, who was still straddling the Harley like it was his. "Son, is this true?" The boy shrugged. "My mom said I could, so I did." Karen jumped in. "You don't need permission for public property. That's community curb space. That's technically HOA regulated." The older officer exchanged a look with his partner that screamed, "We got another one." I slowly crouched to place my phone on the porch railing and unmuted it. State Attorney Kramer, sorry for the delay. I've had a situation. Local police just arrived. The line crackled, and Kramer's voice came through. What kind of situation? HOA neighbor reported me while I was briefing. False accusation. Something about her son taking my motorcycle for a joyride. A pause. You're joking. No, sir." Karen overheard and gasped like I'd insulted the Pope. "Are you on a work call?" The officer held up his hand to silence her. "Ma'am, we're sorting it out." She wasn't done. "That's a state official. He shouldn't have a motorcycle in the first place. That's not appropriate for someone working for the public." Now, that got the attention of everyone. The younger cop turned slowly. "Ma'am, are you suggesting government employees shouldn't own motorcycles?" "I'm saying they should set an example. That thing is loud and aggressive. It's intimidating." That's when Kramer, still on the call, said loud and clear through my speaker, "Put me on speaker, Dan." I did. "This is State Attorney Kramer," he said. "Is there a legitimate criminal complaint here, or is this a waste of taxpayer-funded police resources?" Both officers snapped straight. Karen looked like she'd been slapped with a folder full of subpoenas. There was silence. For a moment, I thought that might be the end of it. But no, Karen doesn't back down. She doubles down. Karen stepped forward like she was about to deliver a closing argument at a fake court she invented in her mind. "I know my rights," she said, eyes locked on the phone like she was ready to debate the state attorney himself. "He was threatening my minor son. That's verbal assault. Look it up." The kid had finally dismounted the Harley, probably sensing this wasn't going the way his mom thought. He looked nervous now, glancing between the cops and his mom with a face that said, "I don't want to be here anymore." Kramer, still on speaker, let out an audible sigh. "Ma'am, you're accusing a state investigator of a felony during an official briefing call, and I can assure you he's got no criminal record and quite a few witnesses, including me." Karen's voice cracked slightly. "You're covering for him." The older officer stepped in, trying to defuse the bomb before it exploded. "Ma'am, please calm down. Right now, we have no evidence of a threat. Your son approached and attempted to operate someone else's private property. That's potentially unauthorized use of a motor vehicle." Karen's eyes widened. "Excuse me? He's a child." "He's 17, the officer replied coolly. "Old enough to drive. Old enough to be charged. We're trying to avoid that." Her voice dropped to a hiss. "I pay your salaries." The younger cop let out a short breath through his nose, like he was counting to 10 in his head. "And we appreciate your taxes, ma'am. But right now, you're interfering with an official state call and possibly filing a false report." Karen snapped back toward me like a cobra. "You think this is over? This isn't over. You violated HOA regulations. That motorcycle doesn't belong on this street." I raised an eyebrow. "Are you planning to seize it yourself, Judge Karen?" That probably wasn't the most diplomatic thing I could have said, but after 15 minutes of public insanity and attempted bike theft from her feral offspring, I was done playing nice. The older cop turned to me. "Do you want to press charges?" Karen went pale. The smug melted right off her face. I looked at her son, still looking at the ground, twisting his fingers, embarrassed, scared. "No," I said finally, "but I want a report filed." Karen started to say something, but her son tugged her shirt. "Mom, stop. Let's just go." That stopped her cold, maybe for the first time all day. She realized she wasn't the main character in the story, just the antagonist. She turned and walked off without another word. Her son followed. The officers took my statement. One of them even asked if he could get a picture with the Harley later for his nephew. As they left, I finally picked my phone back up. Kramer was still on the line. "You still want a brief?" I asked. There was a pause. "Oh, hell yes," he said. "But this story better make it into your report." I thought that would be the end of it. Karen slinking back to her cookie-cutter house, tail between her legs, her son hopefully realizing that commandeering someone's bike doesn't end in glory, and the cops walking away with more common sense than most of the HOA board combined. But with people like Karen, embarrassment doesn't end things, it fuels them. The very next morning, I found a bright orange violation slip stuck to my mailbox. Cheesy infraction notice, unsafe vehicle parking, non-compliant property usage. Non-compliant property usage. I laughed out loud. The HOA had officially declared war. There was even a photo, taken clearly from Karen's driveway, showing my Harley parked exactly where it always had been, off the curb, inside my own lot lines, with a drip pan underneath to prevent any oil stains. I've owned Harleys long enough to know how HOA vultures work. I play by the book. So I decided to play chess. I called Kramer again. "Let me guess," he said. "Karen's back." I sent him the photo. He whistled. "She's bold. I'll give her that." That same afternoon, I filed a formal complaint with the county attorney, harassment via HOA misuse, targeting of a public official during a lawful duty, and potential defamation. I attached the body cam footage the officers had kindly emailed me and a copy of the violation notice. 2 days later, Karen's reign of passive-aggressive terror came crashing down. I didn't hear it from her. I heard it from the HOA president himself, who knocked on my door holding a manila folder. We, reviewed the situation. The complaint has been voided, and Karen's been relieved of her committee duties. You fired her from the HOA? He shifted uncomfortably. We're calling it a suspension pending further review. Between the police report, the footage, and the fact she gave her kid permission to touch your bike. I nodded. Yeah, pretty clear-cut. He handed me a written apology from the board, not Karen, and tried to excuse himself quickly, probably afraid I'd file something against the entire HOA next. But I wasn't interested in more paperwork. I just wanted peace. That night, I parked my Harley under the carport, shined it up like I was prepping it for a show, and left the garage door open just wide enough to let Karen see it when she walked her dog. Petty, maybe. But as the thunder of that engine echoed down the block the next morning, I knew one thing for certain. Some battles don't need fists or fury. Just a fat boy with custom pipes, a badge in your pocket, and a Karen who finally ran out of excuses. If you enjoyed watching Karen's meltdown over my Harley while I was literally on a call with the state attorney, then trust me, this isn't the last time HOA drama tries to out crazy logic. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what happens when Karen tries to file a noise complaint on an electric lawnmower next week. Drop a like if you think that Harley should have been revved right in front of her ring cam, and tell me in the comments what you would have done if some random kid tried to take your bike because his mom said he could. Your stories might just make it into the next episode.